What I've got in front of me is a watch from a watch enthusiast. His name is Glyn, and you know what? I actually like what he's done here, and I like it for several reasons, because the watch itself is relatively unique. The overall finished product, what I've got in my hand, it's actually been such a pleasure, such a joy. The watch is different because if you notice that bezel, it's a very thin bezel, number one. So the dial real estate is enormous, which makes for fantastic legibility. But in saying that, it's only a 40mm watch. And not only that, I've checked the website and the stated specs are actually different to what I measure. What I measure is actually a lot better. It's a lot thinner, the lug is smaller, and the thing wears like a dream. Now, it's not perfect. I found about 3 gripes myself in this watch. None of them are deal breakers, not for me anyway, but I want to share the experience I've had on the wrist throughout the week, because that dial, the wearing, the size, everything has been an absolute joy. So without further ado, let's check this thing out. I like it when I get watches like this on the channel, guys, because it shows up that there can be some individuality, there can be something that's a little bit unique, it's built well, it wears amazing, and even that dial, the sunburst effect that comes off it, the legibility has been great. There are a couple of little niggles that that sort of did, I won't say bugged me, but I thought there could be room for improvement. But overall, this has been a real nice experience on the wrist. Now, you saw the pop-up. This video is sponsored by Sherwood. I don't have to send this watch back, so I will of course leave all the links in the description section if you guys want to check it out. And I'll get onto the specs first, because I did mention that the specs on their website to what I've actually measured are slightly different and in a better way. So looking at the specs of the watch, I measure a case diameter of 40mm with a height of 11.9. The lug to lug is 47.4 with a lug width of 20. Now, the crown is a 6.4mm signed screw down crown. The watch offers 200 meters of water resistance, and the total weight on this bracelet, sized to my 18cm wrist, comes in at exactly 145 grams. Now, as you can see from the overhead, the watch is sitting beautifully. It's only a 40mm watch, and yet that dial takes up most of the real estate because you've got a very thin ceramic bezel. And you know what? In doing so, you got fantastic legibility. So I've enjoyed the watch's legibility throughout the week. The height has been absolutely superb. I measure 11.9 to the top of that double dome sapphire. And with that bracelet's taper from 20 to 18, it's offered a nice comfortable experience on the wrist. And that milled clasp has also been a nice counterbalance. So balance-wise, the watch has been really good on my wrist. I've not had any complaints in that department. And looking at that bracelet, as you can see, it's a flat 5-link. The 3 centers are polished, and the articulation on this is good. It's got screw pins. It offers a fully milled swivel and clasp, and you've got 3 micro adjustments. Now, I've not had any issues with wearability. I've sized it at the start of the week. I've been wearing it all week. I've not had to adjust it again. However, because as enthusiasts we are a little bit spoiled, it would have been nice to see some on-the-fly toolless micro adjustability here. Not that I've needed it throughout the week. Now, looking close to that sapphire crystal, it's a double dome sapphire. The clarity has been beautiful. It's got AR coating on the underside. I've really enjoyed the look of this watch. And that dial, for me, is an absolute hero. The green sunburst effect, you've got fantastic applied markers. And if you notice at 12 o'clock, you've got what looks like a shield or even a broad arrowhead. Because coming from Sherwood Forest, where Robin Hood used to be, that's basically the running theme here. And that seconds hand also complements it. You've got an arrow. So I like what he's done. I like what Glyn has done. He's created something from his own environment, his own homeland. And this is a little bit of fun, but it's also really well made. And that's impressed me. Now, another hero for me has been that crown. That crown is a 6.4mm. The knurling is wonderful. The latch down, the screw down experience, everything on this crown has been superb. So when I get a specific tool, I really like when it works as a tool. And a lot of the watches I've complained about the crowns being too small. This one here, absolutely fantastic. Latches on first time. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And that knurling complements that knurling on that bezel. And speaking of that bezel, you've got a 120 click unidirectional. It's a ceramic insert with loom filled. And as you notice, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 markers. And this is how the watch actually got delivered to me. This is how I believe that he wants the watch. basically a look, a symmetrical look. Now, functionality-wise, that bezel is fantastic. It's rock solid, there's no backplay, but that's how we're used to looking at bezels, especially on a dive style watch. However, in saying that, I've actually enjoyed the watch like that. I've enjoyed wearing it like that. I think the balance is not, it's different. It's different. For me, it's different, and different is good. It's not following the norm. Now, turning the watch over, you can see there's a solid caseback. And on that caseback is an oak tree. In fact, I believe it's the biggest oak tree in Britain. And as legend goes, Robin Hood used to sleep under this tree. So having a running theme and sticking to it, I think he's done really well. And behind that caseback, you've got a Miyota 9039. A proper no date, about 40 hours power reserve, and this particular one here has been running at exactly plus 4 seconds per day, so nothing to complain about. Now lastly, before I get onto my gripes, the lume. Again, another hero. The lume on this watch is C3 Super Luminova. It's got copious amounts of lume. I did say at the start of the video that this watch has been made well. I know it's got a running theme, it's fun, but it's done well. And that's what gets me excited about micro brands. Every now and then they hit the bullseye. Like hitting the bullseye with an arrow, pun intended. And this is one of those watches. And in saying all that, because I have been really nice to this watch, because the watch has been nice to me, but there are some gripes. And what are the gripes? Well, first and foremost for me, the logo, the branding. It's nice, I like it, I like what he's done with the broadhead arrow coming through, that's lovely, but it could have been, in my eyes, a little bit smaller. Potentially 2mm smaller, narrower, it maybe would have balanced out nicer. But even in saying that, the dial is visually a big dial because of that small bezel, so it doesn't seem to be out of place, but it is a bold statement. Second gripe for me could be the effective lug-to-lug. As you notice, the end links, they just bring that lug-to-lug out slightly to about 50.2mm. If you notice, it actually falls straight down. So your wrist curvature does follow underneath here. So I did say it's not a deal breaker. Well, this isn't a deal breaker. Even though that's 50.2, the real lug-to-lug is 47.4. So even with that measurement, it has worn beautifully as the bracelet has draped straight down. Next gripe potentially could be the price. The watch comes in at £450. It's not inexpensive by any means, but the quality and the execution and the design has been superb. I've really enjoyed this watch. I've really enjoyed that crown and that bezel and that lume and the legibility. So it's been a fun watch. It's been a beautiful, colourful watch. So the price, take it as you may. And the last gripe for me, well, there's two of them really. One of them, I would have liked to see an on-the-fly adjustment on this. It doesn't have it, but I've not adjusted it. I've put it on the end. That's how I actually wore the watch from a week ago, and it's still on the same adjustment. But as I mentioned, we are a little bit spoiled. A toolless micro adjustment system would have been nice at this price point. And finally, my last gripe, the side of that case is polished, so it's a bit of a fingerprint magnet there. However, the fact that the lugs on the top are brushed and the sides of that bracelet brings a bit more of a tool aesthetic to it. So a very interesting piece. I'm really glad I got this one on the channel, guys. It surprised me because it's got a lot of presence on the wrist, being a 40mm but with a big dial, small bezel. It actually works. Great lume, great legibility, excellent comfort on the wrist. A few little potential additions as I mentioned in this review, and it would have been really hit it out of the park. But even in saying that, I like what Glenn has done. I'll leave the links in the description, guys. Get on his website, check it out if you're interested in this watch. There are 3 colorways. There's blue, there's black, and this green one. And for me, this green one is superb. So thanks again for watching. Hit me up in the comments, leave me your thoughts on this piece. Be well, be safe, and we'll see you in the next one.